We know who won the Class S game. We want to talk about the rest of the games that's going to be coming up tomorrow. Joining me now, these guys know a thing or two about all of these teams. Tim King, head coach, Valley Regional, just eliminated from the playoffs in the semifinals. Sorry about that, but glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Same thing, Ed McCarthy from West Haven High School and Tony Sagnella from North Haven High School. You guys had tremendous seasons, but if you don't mind, we're going to talk about some other teams now. We're going to talk about the championship games. Let's start with Class M. All right, so we have Brookfield. This is the team that eliminated you guys last week, but they're going to have their hands full against St. Joe's. Let's talk about this game.
I think St. Joe's is, going out on a limb saying that they're loaded. Quarterback right down the line, offense. Question mark is the running back. Is he going to be playing or not? Because I heard he was injured the previous game. So
Mustafa Bashir.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if did anybody know if he's going to play or not?
My lips are sealed.
148 points for them in the playoffs in 2 games, right? They scored 84 in the quarterfinal game, 62 in their semifinal game. That's a lot of points. Let's talk about how the weather could play into that. If it's snowing, if you got some wind.
It's pretty obvious that the running game becomes more important to them if, in fact, it is inclement. And they're playing at 10 o'clock in the morning, though. I think they'll be able to squeeze that in. But they are a very explosive team. We scrimmaged them. We had a brief 7-hour scrimmage one day, early, preseason, obviously, and they have a lot of weapons, as you mentioned.
They've lost to one team all year. Lost to them twice. That's New Canaan. We'll get to New Canaan in a little bit. So I think it's safe to say we're all going here with St. Joe's.
Yeah, I would go. We didn't play either team. I did see St. Joseph's on film, and they are very good.
All right, it's important to point out 10 o'clock Saturday morning in New Britain at a Root Field for that Class M game. All right, let's move on now to Class L, because Coach Sagnella, you're familiar with this Darien team. Darien comes up with a big win on Thanksgiving Day against New Canaan. How do you like the way this thing shapes up?
Well, it's a very intriguing matchup. You got 2 very well-coached teams. They run very similar offenses. So as Coach Mack said, the running game is going to be important with the weather the way it is, and they're both very good at running. They're both very good at passing. My thoughts are it's probably going to come down to the defense, and in playing both of them, I'd have to give the edge to New Canaan defensively. I think they're just very good all across the board. Darien is very good up front, and they'll certainly put up a fight. I believe that, but I think New Canaan will probably edge them out.
What gets overlooked here is in New Canaan's team, because they move the ball so well, is that they've had 2 straight shutouts here in their 2 playoff games. I mean, that's almost unheard of at this level, right?
Yep. They've just had the one hiccup, on Thanksgiving Day against Darien. Otherwise, they really have a great mark. Without seeing either team, if you held a gun to my head, I would say New Canaan is going to find a way to win this one.
I'm not going to hold a gun to your head, but you said it anyway.
Don't do that.
All right, let's move on quickly, and we're going to circle back and talk about some of these teams in a little greater length. But let's go to that double L team, Coach McCarthy. Let's hear from you on this one, because this is Fairfield Prep. This is obviously a very good team that got hot late, right? They didn't start off playing as well. They got hot late. You played them twice, and now they're going to be taking on a Southington team that also got hot here.
Yeah, it should be a great matchup. Again, not knowing what's going to happen in the weather-wise. Southington has a tremendous passing combination. Barmore and Jamelli, I believe, is the receiver. They're a tremendous combination. But Prep's got some very good players on defense, and I think that and the weather, I think Prep's going to be very difficult to beat.
Did you see the improvement in Prep as the season? You guys all play. You guys see the same teams all season long. You kind of beat up on each other.
You just say it. We're sick of them.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, they lost a very difficult game to St. Joe's on a Hail Mary early in the year, and their other loss was to Hand at the Surf Club, and the Surf Club has taken a lot of scalps over the years. So I think if you look at their body of work, it's tremendous also. So I think it'll be a great game. Southington is a very worthy foe, but again, I think Prep has a little too much power for them.
Coach, you have any thoughts on this double L game here?
Just looking at scores, I mean, we didn't play Prep, but we did play some common opponents in the league, and I just think that their physicality is going to be a little bit too much for Southington. That's my position.
We're going to get more into it with you too, Coach King, but we've run out of time here on TV. So listen, go over to sportsedge.com where we're going to continue this conversation. Here on television, we'll be right back with more and the rest of the day's news, and we'll even get some high school girls basketball in. That's coming up next. And again, over on sportsedge.com, let's continue this conversation. So you were about to say on this double L game.
I was just going to say that, I with Tony and these guys, that Fairfield, I think, has it. I looked at, I've been on one of the polls, New London Day poll and stuff like that, and they've been creeping up and creeping up and creeping up and kind of flying under the radar all year long, and then, here they are. And they're playing, perfect time. They'd be playing great ball at the end of the year, so I think it's Fairfield.
Fairfield Prep on this one. Let me ask you guys this, because I've been covering high school football in the state for, 17 years now, and I still don't understand this whole playoff system. Who gets in? You're playing in a league with teams that go into a different class. Are we missing some teams in this playoff system this year that you think should have been there? That would have had a chance to shake things up, but because of this point system maybe didn't get in?
Shelton, right?
Oh, Shelton was a great team. They
gave everyone fits,
oh my
right?
God. Yeah, they were a very well-balanced team. I think every year, Noah, you're going to have teams from the quote-unquote stronger leagues who have a legitimate gripe. I go back to when the playoffs were instituted here in the state. I was coach in 1976, and we actually did a trial run for a couple years prior. We adopted this system. It was called the Wisconsin system at that time. I mean, we're talking a long time, almost 40 years. And the states that have jumped into the playoff situation, like Massachusetts and New Jersey, use an identical system. It's very difficult to gain or to grant power as to what team is a better team.
Yeah.
In terms of comparing schedules during the year, it's almost impossible to do. And I really think that this is the best system. Is it perfect? By no means. But until someone comes up with a better one, and I've heard some really ludicrous explanations of how they can be improved, and I just haven't seen nor heard one that is ideal.
All right, well, I'll go back to you, Coach King, and ask you. No, because I appreciate that. I do, and I just wonder if, like, at the end of the season, if you guys look at it and say, like, for instance, Shelton lost some tough games that you say, how does a team like Shelton not make the playoffs? And, if there are just some teams out there that you say, boy, I'm glad they didn't make the playoffs because they would have been a tough out anywhere.
I've always been one that said that, you can only play what your schedule has. And I know in our league and stuff like that, I'm given a schedule and I've got to play who I've got on that schedule. And unfortunately, maybe some of them are, lower grade teams, or I shouldn't really say that, but, lower on the power polls.
Right.
Whereas, other divisions, other conferences may play a tougher schedule. So, it's only, we can only do what we're given.
Yeah.
And only play who we're given, in our conference. So that's, it's tough. I know there's talk about, the co-ops and the tech schools going to a different league and stuff like that. So, again, I can only play who's in my league. So.
Right. Right. Although Capital Prep had a big big year in CIAC ball. I mean, made it to the playoffs. Yeah. Any thoughts as we head into tomorrow? Just you guys heading out to the games? You're going to bundle up and get out there and watch them? And
that's my plan right now. We'll see. We'll see what the overnight brings. I did coach at St. Joe's for 13 years, and Joe was one of my ex-players, and I'm still very close to those guys. And I certainly want to make that game, and then. Again, I think we're all in the same boat. We're all wishing we were making that ride up to New Britain.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the Prep Southington game, which is right after the St. Joe's game. So that's my plan.
All right. Well, enjoy, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it, and congratulations on great seasons. I mean, we had you in
Thank
because you guys were there at the end in the, right up to this point anyway. And congratulations on
Yes.
#1 coaching victories in the state of Connecticut in the history of high school football. That's
Thank you, Noah.
no one's taking that
That's
away.
what happens when you get old.
Yeah, that's what you say. That's what happens when you're good. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in here on SportsEdge.com.